Shannon Smith, refinish and paint a wood table. I chose to refinish and paint a wood table because I am interested in refinishing cabinets in my home. I want to learn this craft and acquire a new skill. Leisure activity. Leisure participation. Working on this activity was a leisure participation activity. I developed a new skill and found that the entire time spent on this activity balanced well with other occupations such as work, studying, and home management. Objects and properties. Wood table, hardware, blanket, wet rag, sandpaper, primer, paintbrush, screwdriver tool, white paint, and black spray paint. Space demands. Work area in the garage with door open. Natural light and artificial light. Proper ventilation. Sound of music, classic rock, Eagles, and Fleetwood Mac. Social and cultural demands. I worked alone on this project due to my schedule. Working with my hands is symbolic of my upbringing. Client factor. Refinishing furniture holds a value and legacy of my family. The ability to create and provide a product with my hands is a craft I value. Values defined. Acquired beliefs and commitments derived from culture and about what is good, right, and important to do. Sequence and timing. Sequence. Shop for supplies. Timing 5:18 at 5:30 p.m. 1 hour. Sequence. Remove hardware and sand wood. Timing 5:20 8 p.m. for 2 hours. Sequence. Prime the wood. Timing 5:25 8 p.m. 2 hours. Sequence. Paint the wood. 2 coats. Timing 5:30 7 p.m. 3 hours. Sequence. Spray paint hardware. Timing 6:1 7 p.m. 1 hour. Sequence. Attach hardware. Timing 6:10 8 p.m. 1 hour. Sequence of steps. At our far left corner of this screen, we have some supplies that I purchased from my local hardware store, Lowe's. And in this specific picture, there's the bonder and then the white paint I used for the project. Directly below this image is the little table, the wood table I worked on. This is the step where I removed the hardware and prepped the table by wiping it down with a wet rag. Directly next to this image, I have the wood table while I was sanding it. And sanding took a little bit more skill than I anticipated and a little bit more muscle. Directly next to this image is the table after I primed it, and the primer helps the paint adhere to the wood better and gives it more of a uniform look. Then right next directly to this image, we have the table with 2 coats of white paint on it, drying. And next to this image, I have the black spray paint, which I used to spray the hardware, which was a kind of a copper color beforehand. I wanted to make it more of a modern, clean look, update the table. And then directly above this image, I have the final product, which is the table painted with 2 coats of white paint and the hardware, which I painted black on it. Performance patterns. Routines. This activity became a routine pattern within my weekly routine. Routines defined. Patterns of behavior that are observable, regular, and repetitive that provide structure for daily life. Client factors. Required body structure, limbs such as arms and hands, muscle function, muscle endurance, sustaining muscle contraction. Neuromuscular, skeletal, and movement-related function, joint mobility, and joint range of motion, which is very important when you're painting. You're going to be using a lot of joint mobility, moving the paintbrush and the strokes, which are necessary for painting. Performance skills. Motor skills, flows while painting and grips while sanding and painting. Process skills, sequences, performs the steps in a logical order necessary to get the final results. Flows defined, uses smooth and fluid arm and wrist movements when interacting with task objects. Grips defined, effectively pinches or grasps the tasks objects such that the objects do not slip, for example, from a person's fingers or teeth. Sequences defined, perform steps in an effective or logical order with an absence of number one, randomness or lack of logic in the order, and number two, inappropriate repetition of steps. Safety hazards, proper ventilation, very important while working with paint, as the paint is a lot of fumes. It's got a strong smell. You want to have open area. And also while you're sanding, I found wood, you want to make sure that those wood particles that get in the air aren't inhaled. You want to make sure you have an open space with a big door, which I used. My garage door was large so I could have a nice ventilated room. Wash hands properly after painting. Very important. Do not handle food or eat right after painting. Make sure you wash your hands properly. The paint is very toxic. After cleanup of supplies, make sure to wash hands and store paint in a safe place. Very important to store the paint away from animals or small children. Grading and adapting. I could have graded down this activity if I started with a pre-sanded piece of furniture. By making this project more advanced, I could have graded up the activity with an antiquing technique for furniture, which would have required more skill. Therapeutic values and outcomes. Quality of life. From this activity, I found hope and a perception that goals are attainable. Completing this activity represented the ability to complete a task while enjoying the final ending product. A goal can be accomplished by taking each step towards the goal. This activity improved my self-concept, increasing my beliefs about myself. Therapeutic craft completed. This is the final image, the before picture of the wood table before any steps taken to prepare it and to have the final outcome. Next to this image, we have the final image, which is the white table with 2 coats of white paint and the black hardware, which I thought would give it a nice modern clean look. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Thank you so much.